Just about time to make it here at Talladega Superspeedway for the Camping World Truck Series. So let's take a look at our Camping World track description and race analysis.
This means speed, 2.66 miles. Look how long those straightaways. Look at that 33-degree banking in the turns. This track is so wide, we're going to see 3, even 4 wide racing. Talladega is built for speed.
Yeah, and with all that speed, you're going to have to manage 2 or 3 pit stops today. You're going to have to run 94 laps. And last year, our pole sitter was also our winner.
How about this? Timothy Peters, when he won this race 1 year ago, started 26th. As you mentioned, Kevin, qualified on the pole today. First time Peters has started on the pole here at Talladega in his career, and starting back in the 7th position, our 2-time defending champ, Matt Craftsman.
Let's see if we can get a word with Matt Craftsman. He rolls off in that Menards Toyota. Matt Craftsman, it's Michael Waltrip and Kevin Harvick up in the Fox booth. Do you copy us, buddy?
Yes, sir. That's clear.
Well, you got a great starting spot. Anytime you can win at Talladega, it's really special. Do you have the strategy you think that will get you to victory lane?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Junior and all these guys worked really hard between Daytona and here, making this truck have a little bit more speed, qualify up in the top 10. And like I said, we'll paint this thing on the yellow line for a little while and see how it'll run, but I think it's pretty good.
Matt, this is Kevin Harvick. Being a championship contender like you are, how do you manage this race and get yourself to the end of this race with all this inexperience in this field?
Just always keep an eye on who's around you, and you always, at the same time, you have to keep an eye on the trucks that are racing you for a championship, and just race as hard as you can. You can't worry about points too much. You just got to go out there and do the best you can do and see how the cards fall.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Matt Craftsman is the champion. The two guys trying to take that title away. Couple of young guns. Let's hear a word on them and visit with our pit reporters. We start things off with Matt Yoakum. Good afternoon, Matt.
Adam, when you look at Matt Craftsman, he may be in the most difficult position of all, trying to focus on closing in on Eric Jones, but yet he's got Tyler Reddick in his mirror, the 2 19-year-olds. Impressive at Daytona. They finished 1-2. Now, Tyler Reddick, he relishes his position of being the chaser. Nothing to lose, all the pressure on Jones and Craftsman. But you know what? When you look at Jones, no stranger to pressure-packed situations. The past 2 years, he's performed in clutch situations, helping KBM win the owner's title. But their entire season could come down to today, how you react and how you perform at the most unpredictable race on the schedule. Vince?
Well, it should be fun to keep your eye on the 54 of Christopher Bell today. Drives for Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's one of the most heralded young drivers in all of NASCAR. The 20-year-old from Oklahoma is making just his 5th Truck Series start today, but he's already gone to victory lane. He did that on the dirt at Eldora, but this is his first run in the draft on a super speedway. He's shown speed and he has undeniable talent, but he's never faced anything like Talladega. Hermie?
Well, Vince, Timothy Peters and the 17 team come into Talladega with a lot of momentum. Last time out at Las Vegas, a season-best 2nd place finish. But his last career victory came 1 year ago right here at Talladega, and he did a masterful job in getting that truck to victory lane. He comes off turn 4, the final corner. You got to remember the start-finish line at Talladega is through the tri-oval. Tremendous job by Timothy Peters. He works the draft to perfection. He goes to victory lane for an emotional victory. Why? Because he carried the name of our friend Steve Burns and colleague to victory lane at Talladega to celebrate here last year. Now fast forward 1 year from that today. Ashley Richmond, you see the name on the side of the door? That is the 33-year-old sister of Timothy Peters' crew chief, Marcus Richmond. You see sitting on top of the pit box. This team is honoring Ashley this weekend, carrying her name above the passenger side door. They hope to recapture that same magic they did last year and take Timothy Peters and Ashley Richmond and this team to victory lane. Adam?
No question. He's in a great position to do it. Peters starting on the pole today as we look at our onboard cameras.
Yeah, this is the Ford EcoBoost camera of Tyler Reddick. He's in that championship battle. He's going to start from the 15th position. He's got some work to do.
Next, we've got our 2-time champ in the Menards Toyota there with a great view from inside.
What about this guy? We're going to hop on board with John West Townley. He qualified 2nd in Vegas and drove to victory lane. He starts P2 today in the Zaxby's Chevrolet.
And our pole sitter, Timothy Peters, carrying our Toyota on board today. He should be fun to watch from the pole.
Starting out front, that's great. He just hopes he's there in 94 laps when the checkered flag is waving here at Talladega. We put the green flag in the air after a break on Fox. The trucks are in turns 3 and 4, about to take the green flag. And already the teams working together when discussing the draft. Here is Eric Jones radio.
94 laps, disciplined all day. Just take care of it, have something to run them at the end. Got the 17 with me here. Try to work with them best we can to start. Just click some laps off, keep us in position for the end here. Have fun.
What a great time for everybody at Fox Sports. Tuesday night, our coverage of the World Series begins. Later this evening, top 5 college football matchup. Utah trying to stay unbeaten against USC. Right now, it's NASCAR from Talladega. The first of 5 races remaining in 2015 for the Camping World Truck Series. Front row, Timothy Peters, John West Townley. It's time to go green here in Alabama.
The 19th race for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
Everybody has a plan. Everybody has an idea of what they're going to do to get themselves in the best position to win this race. Now it's time to execute those plans. When you throw the green flag, those rows running side by side, you can side draft, and somebody can mess up your plan in a hurry.
Yeah, and you saw the 54 truck have an opportunity there of Christopher Bell to get to the inside, and he just wasn't quite sure. So as the race goes on, that intensity level will pick up, and he will definitely learn to take those gaps as they come.
How important are the early laps for Bell? First ever time in the draft with 31 other trucks.
Well, he already made his first mistake, in my opinion, in not taking that line, because the inside line is just hard to beat unless that outside line gets to pushing and shoving.
And you know, it's real important for that young man to be learning right now, Adam. I don't think he can drop to the back because he won't know how to race them when he tries to come back up to the front. So just being in the pack, feeling the air off the other trucks, how it buffets him around, seeing how close he can get to that inside line. These are all lessons that he has to learn in the first half of the race so he can go attack in the second half.
And that's really why I think it's important to go up there and race, so that you get comfortable with your truck. You know who you want to be around. You know how hard you can push. You know when your spotter says clear, if you're comfortable with turning down. And that's why it's really important to get up front and try to race.
Talking about Christopher Bell, 4th in line in that top lane. Black and orange Toyota driving for Kyle Busch, a kid that many is going to believe is going to be a huge superstar in NASCAR. Won earlier this season on the dirt in Eldora.
Yeah, you talk about winning. You see John West Townley leading that outside line. What a week he had at Las Vegas. And to see the progression that Zaxby's team has made is just unbelievable, in my opinion. To call him a winner in the Camping World Truck Series and see him running as well as he has really taken to our sport and learning what it's all about, and he's become successful at it.
Yeah, and I love to see that bright yellow truck running up toward the front. John caught a lot of flack over the way he got into some accidents, but when you're first learning, that's going to happen. He rebounded, he drove to victory lane in Las Vegas. How cool is that? And now he's running in the top 10 at Talladega.
Down to the inside of him, 33 of Brandon Jones, going to go full-time next year in the Xfinity Series, driving for Richard Childress. And just in front of him, the 29 of Brian Keselowski. That's not Brad. Brad owns the truck, tapped his older brother to come drive here at Talladega, qualified good today, and so far, so good for that Ford.
Well, if you remember, Brad Keselowski got his opportunity in a truck race just by accident, and here Brian is just by accident in this truck. So maybe he can make the same out of today as Brad did for his career.
Well, it was a special day back in the 80s when my brother finally said, Mike, you can drive one of my cars on a Saturday afternoon, and I was able to go to victory lane driving for my brother. That victory is one of my favorite in my career. Now Brian Keselowski has the same opportunity to win for his brother.
Is that outside lane starting to gain some ground on the inside lane?
It's the creeping. They're just, they haven't lost anything in the last few laps, and I like the way Townley, he's got a really fast truck. I like the way he's leading those guys. But something's going to have to happen for this, for outside line to ever get there. 88 strong down on the bottom, right in line. What's happening down there, Matt?
Remember back in practice when Tyler Reddick in the 19th said it was so difficult to see? Well, Matt Craftsman's spotter, Jason Hedleski, who also spots for Carl Edwards in the Cup Series, reminded him, use your hand signals. A couple of close calls with the 23 of Spencer Gallagher, so that way, use your hand signals. Good communication with the guy behind you to not put you in a bad position.
We got to get to that spotter, because I can't move my arms anymore in my car. But it's definitely one of those things. The guys around you can tell where you're at and what you're doing, and you definitely have to communicate through your spotter, who is such a big part of what we do here at Talladega compared to anywhere else you go, because you're looking backwards more than you're looking forward, trying to keep yourself in a good spot.
Kevin, how many mental notes do you make throughout the running of a race? Like right there, you saw Craftsman behind Ben Kennedy. Ben was moving around a little bit. Do you check that off your list and say, okay, I know his truck has a tendency to be a little bit loose when I'm right on him? Do you make notes all race long?
Well, it's definitely a mental note that you have to make lap after lap. But here's the deal. These guys did not practice in a full field like they are right now. So right now, the side skirts are dragging, the splitter's bouncing off the ground, you're turning more RPM. There's a different harmonic, there's a different feel to these trucks than what they had in practice, because they were never going this fast.
Two drivers in this field that have won. Timothy Peters, who's out front, and Johnny Sauter won this race a couple of years ago, started 8th. He's back to 24th. We'll update his progress in a moment. First, let's go to pit road and hear from Vince.
Well, that truck that's on the outside leading that second lane, and that's John West Townley in the 05. You guys talked about the fact that he's coming off that win at Las Vegas, and what a confidence builder that was, not just for him, but this entire team. Crew Chief Michael Shelton, championship pedigree, but what a big win it was for JWT. As they run now, they're telling him, try to stay on the inside or on the outside of that inside lane to make more forward progress. Michael, Kevin, how much of a side draft can you get with these trucks as they battle side by side?
Oh, the side draft is huge, and I would say the trucks have the biggest side draft of anything that we drive, and it is probably going to be hard for that outside line to go unless they get closer connected.
And I like Townley giving a gap right now, Harvick. You can't just side draft lap after lap, because you see the way these things are moving all over the place. You go down there, try to grab some draft off a guy, and he moves up. That's when the crash starts. And I can promise you, Adam, before this race is over, side drafting will result in an accident.
7 laps in. So far, things have been quiet. Timothy Peters started on the pole. He's led every lap. Eric Jones, Ben Kennedy, Matt Craftsman, Spencer Gallagher, top 5 at Talladega. 10 of 94 laps complete for the Camping World Truck Series. We're live at Talladega Superspeedway. Happy to have you along for the ride with Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick. I'm Adam Alexander. Timothy Peters won this race 1 year ago. Started on the pole today. He's led every lap, and so far, so good for a bunch of young drivers that don't have a ton of experience in the draft.
We're a 10th of the way in, Adam, and I'm already nervous. This race is just boiling up. You can see the 05. He's driven up to the second place truck, bringing that outside line with him. He's making some progress, but the way he's made it is dipping over and doing a little side drafting. Look at the run he's getting now. Oh.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell the outside line is getting formed better, and I think the inside line is starting to become less trucks. The outside line has the numbers, but the reason that line is going is the fact that John West Townley is doing all that side drafting and become much more aggressive with it since the race has started.
The rear view mirror just became Timothy Peters' best friend. Is that right? Are you using that a lot right now?
He did roll up to the outside to kind of block the momentum of Townley, which was a great move, and then got right back to the bottom. You see him doing that there. It also crowds Townley up the road a little bit, which takes away the side draft that he was trying to put on to Eric Jones right behind Peters.
Yeah, and I think these trucks are a little bit different than the Cup car, as you see the 05 get to the outside of Timothy Peters there. But I think when you move around, I think it actually helps in these trucks to give them a tow, because these things get a tremendous tow behind another truck because of the fact that there's such a big hole that gets poked in the air.
Got trouble here. One of them off track through the grass. That's John Hunter Nemechek. Can he save it and keep it off the wall?
Keep it locked. Keep it locked.
Unbelievable job to keep that thing off the fence. First caution of the day. Comes out with 12 laps complete.
Yeah, and that's just an extremely lucky situation there, because not only should the splitter be ripped off of that thing like you see so many times, but just coming through the tri-oval here and
that shows you how hard the tri-oval is. I mean, he was all by himself. He tried to cut to the bottom, and the truck got away from him.
Yeah, the cars and trucks get so light through that tri-oval. You just have to turn the wheel just a little bit, and the back end just gets light. And he just got into a spot in the middle right there where there was just no air on the truck, and he just spun out.
And he never gave up, though. He was in the grass sideways, and he just worked hard to keep that thing off the inside wall. Now he's going to have to be smart about how he gets back to pit road. Those tires blow out. It could tear up his whole truck.
Won at Chicago a few weeks ago. The son of Joe Nemechek. Turned 18 in June. Problems early for John Hunter Nemechek here at Talladega. We're under caution. Under caution for the first time today here at Talladega. Camping World Truck Series 14 into the 94 that make up today's 250-miler, and virtually everybody came down pit road. Let's start with one of our championship contenders, Matt Yoakum, talking about Matt Craftsman.
With so few laps already in the books, Craftsman's team, they went for fuel only, no tire changes on the 88. Meanwhile, the 14 of Daniel Hemrick, the same game plan on his truck. Vince.
Well, there were problems for the championship leader, the Ford truck of Eric Jones. They wanted to do fuel only, but the crew went over the wall and started to change tires. Crew chief Rudy Fugel yelling at the team. They at that point decided, well, we'll go ahead and put right sides on, and they did that and put fuel, but positions lost for your points leader, Eric Jones.
Now, there was problems exiting the pit for Daniel Hemrick, I believe. Daniel, when he went to leave, stalled his engine, and watch what all... Look what all Craftsman was dealing with.
Yeah, there's just so many things that happen right there. As you're coming out of the pit box, the crew chief's telling you clear, the spotter's off the radio, and that's exactly right. Just don't wreck, because if the fenders are not intact, you will not win. Hermie?
The 19 of Tyler Reddick, also a championship contender. Pretty much same strategy. His crew chief, Doug Randolph, said we want 6 seconds worth of fuel. That's what they got to try to hold on to the track position.
The reason for the caution, John Hunter Nemechek had a problem coming through the tri-oval, went through the grass, did not hit the wall. He lost a lap, but he has been to pit road, got some fresh tires. Should be plenty of opportunities to get the free pass and compete for the win later today. And speaking of Ford, there's a Ford that had an issue. Under caution, Brian Keselowski came down the pit lane and caught speeding upon exit, Matt.
66 combined NASCAR starts between Sprint Cup and Xfinity. This is his first Truck Series start. Now, he had an issue, as you mentioned, on exit. The last section, he was caught speeding. So what the team decided to do was he had to come to pit road to pay that penalty. They put 4 tires and packed the fuel cell full of fuel. The only issue they had during the stop, though, the jack dropped twice on the right side. Luckily, no real damage to the body.
So he'll start at the rear of the field when the green flag goes back in the air. Eric Jones is going to be back there as well. We talked about the miscommunication on his pit stop. He'll be 22nd when the green flag goes in the air. Tuesday night big for Fox. Game 1 of the Fall Classic. Mets and Royals looking to end long droughts and claim the World Series crown. Our coverage begins on Fox, 7:30 Eastern Time from Kansas City.
When you really tightened up that side draft there, John, you kind of got the hang of it there. That's when you really start marching forward. So just keep doing that. Think of the side draft as you're plowing snow, and as snow rolls off the snow plow, you're dumping it on the guy next to you. That's the best way I can explain air, because you're doing the same thing. You're just moving air instead of snow, but you can see snow, you can't see air. So just think of it like that. You're just trying to dump a truckload of snow on the guy behind you or alongside of you. That really slows him down.
And it's a dangerous game. He's asking him to tighten it up. It's a little bit early to be tightening it up too much. Remember, John Hunter Nemechek just spun by himself in the tri-oval. When you get other trucks next to you, that just makes it that much more intense.
Hit your kill switch, test everything.
We were set to go back green. NASCAR waved it off because Jordan Anderson had stalled out in the 74.
Sounds like he got it started up right there at the end. Is he rolling again? That's a shame. Jordan worked so hard to get his truck on the track, was able to make the race here. Whatever's wrong with it.
It's rolling, Mike. It's rolling now.
Squared away. Talked to Jordan before the race. He's going to get some of the number 28 Fire Department New York team to come over and help him pit that truck. Those guys missed the show, and it's just a bunch of volunteers, and that's what Jordan needed, was some help, and he's got his truck rolling now.
And that's really what makes the Truck Series great, is you can take a truck and you can race it at Eldora. You can race it at Talladega. You can race it all over the country, because that's what the rules let you do. And that's really what this series is about, is being able to make it as economical as possible to come to the racetrack and see these guys get an opportunity to race.
Under caution for the first time this afternoon, we look at our Ford track facts. On board here with Tyler Reddick.
Saving some gas. You can see him shutting the engine off and coasting. It's always a fuel game, no matter what lap it is. That's what he's doing there. Look at the wins the Fords have this year. Good season for them.
Yeah, they've definitely had a great year. You hear him shutting. He's making gas right now.
That's right.
That's what we call making gas. When that switches off and the engine's not running, you're making gas.
So Tyler came in third in the championship, and the guy that everybody was chasing, Eric Jones, had that miscue on pit road, that miscommunication. Wanted fuel, ended up getting 2 tires. He restarts outside the top 20, but Kevin, you said that could be a good thing for them.
Well, anytime you can get off sequence, as you can see, being in the middle of the pack, it's really hard to pass. So those 2 trucks are going to be off sequence now. They're going to have 4 fresh tires, and track position is going to be a key to the game today because of the fact that you want to stay up front, and it is hard to pass in the middle of the pack. So keeping yourself up front, and now he's in a better window, full of fuel and with 4 tires, both of them.
Matt Craftsman, one of our championship leaders, wanted to be on that bottom, just painting that yellow line. Well, he's on the outside now, so his strategy has changed.
Teammates on the front row. Timothy Peters, who's led just about every lap today, inside of his teammate Ben Kennedy, who's going to get the jump here as we go green.
Nice start by Kennedy. Jumped ahead of Peters. Maybe a little bit of teamwork there to get the team trucks together down on the bottom. And they are just that, on the bottom in the front of the pack.
And here we go again. John West Townley on the outside, being the lead dog, trying to dictate how fast that outside lane is going to go by how aggressive do you want to be on the side draft.
You just can't get comfortable doing this. Every lap is a challenge. Those trucks are bumping around. Somebody hits your back bumper to give you a push. You don't have your wheels set in the right position. Round you go.
Well, and you see Matt Craftsman there, how tight he is to the back of that 05 truck, and that's really what you want to do. He's got a lot of experience, so he's very good at the bump draft and managing that gap in between trucks, and that's how that line is going to make the most time, by keeping those gaps all the way through that line as close as possible in order to make more speed.
But you saw Townley there right down on the side of Ben Kennedy's truck. Craftsman's behind him. They're going to shove to the front.
How about the position Craftsman is in? Nearly contact on pit road. Here he pushes John West Townley to the lead at Talladega. You're on board with Timothy Peters.
And that 05 of John West Townley needs to manage how he handles what line he's in with the 88 right now, because that 88 helped him get to the front. And if he just leaves that 88 hanging up there on the top, he's going to remember that as we get to the end of the day.
That's some of those mental notes you're taking, right? Who helps me and who bails out on me?
Teammates working together in that outside lane. Cameron Haley in the 13, the rookie behind the veteran Matt Craftsman.
Yeah, Haley started back outside the top 10, and he's done a nice job of working his way to the front. The rookie on the back of the veteran Craftsman. I know Matt, I'm sure Matt's talked to Cameron a lot about how much he pushes and how aggressively he pushes. But that's got to make you a little bit nervous looking in your mirror and seeing a rookie back there.
Well, and the other thing that makes me nervous is how much of that apron those guys on the inside lane are using through that trioval, because if you get that splitter too far over those double yellow lines, that truck will immediately get loose and spin out.
That outside lane really making some hay. A little shove from Haley. Here goes Matt Craftsman on point. Going to slide down in front of John West Townley.
Yeah, and really what's happening is the 05 of John West Townley has a gap, and right now he doesn't, but he's had a gap to the 11 truck, and they aren't going to make as much ground if they don't stay closer together. So that has helped that outside line, who's formed up really good together, in order to make more speed and put 2 trucks down to the bottom lane to take the lead.
How about the rookies that are lined up on the outside? You've got Haley, you got Brandon Jones, Matt Tift, all those trucks pushing hard. I said it before, side drafting will cause an accident today. We'll see when.
Yeah, and you start to look at the back of this pack, and you see a third line starting to form up on the outside groove there as we come through turns 1 and 2. But I think when we look at this field, we look at the list of drivers and people in this race, and you look at the inexperience and you say, man, this can be a disaster. But it also can be a very good positive, because they don't really know what to do, and they're going to be aggressive, and that's all they've heard is, I got to be aggressive. I got to keep my gap close. And until they make a mistake, they don't know how to make a mistake, so that's what makes this race great.
Let's get a word on those guys running for the championship. On board with Tyler Reddick, right now 10th, Hermie.
Well, Adam, there's no racetrack on the circuit where the drivers depend more on the spotters than right here at Daytona and Talladega. Right now, the strategy for Tyler Reddick has been pretty simple. Stay at the bottom of the racetrack, tucked as closely as you can to the driver in front of you. Tyler has made some comments to his spotter, who is TJ Majors, who has a lot of experience in the Cup Series, Xfinity Series. He has commented how difficult it is to see through the truck in front of you ahead. So you're very much trusting your spotter and the driver ahead of you. But right now, everything going to plan for the 19. Vince?
Well, there's been trouble already for our points leader. Eric Jones started third, but is now back running 17th after that pit stop where they came in wanting to take fuel only, but a miscommunication and ended up taking 4 tires, dropped 19 spots and restarted 22nd. Spotter Tony Hirschman telling Eric Jones there's more experience on the bottom lane. That's the lane that'll be moving. That's where you'll want to stay. Crew Chief Rudy Hugel reminding him, please be patient. We got a long way to go. Matt
Craftsman at the point in the 88 truck. His preferred line is on the bottom. He loves hugging the yellow line. That's the most safe place to keep your truck. But he told me the one thing that they did not see in practice was the big pack, 25 or more trucks developed to learn how your truck will react around the others. This race, he said, the first 75 laps is going to be a huge learning tool, and that's what happened when he was stuck on the outside. He learned a little bit more information there to digest and use later.
That's what I was curious about. How much of these early laps are an experiment, an extended practice session, if you will, so you're prepared for the stretch run, which is where we know you're going to win this thing.
Well, I said it earlier, but I believe you have to race up front in order to have the best chance to win this race, in order to get that experience and know how hard you can and can't push and who you want to push with. So the more you can be up front, the more you can be in control, the better off you're going to be. And here's the thing that everybody's not talking about, or we're not talking about right now. 88's leading laps. There's a point for the most laps, and he's led a lap. And as close as this championship has been, that will matter.
He's got a really fast Toyota, too. He's been able to get that thing from the outside to the point, and now he's got that inside line pulling ahead of the outside line. I agree with you 100%, Kevin. Christopher Bell has never seen anything like this in his career. This is the first time he's experienced side drafting and being in a pack in that number 54 truck there. So he's learning so much right now that could help him try to win this race later.
Mentioned Matt Craftsman leading a lap. That's a point, as you said. Bonus points do matter when you talk about how tight this championship is. Coming in, Craftsman had 4 more bonus points than Eric Jones. Could very well be a deciding factor. And who gets the title in 2015? Matt Craftsman trying to make it 3 in a row. 28 of 94 laps complete. It's the Camping World Truck Series racing on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Talladega, Alabama. 5 races to go in 2015, and the man out front is the driver that has won the last 2 championships. Perhaps today will be a pivotal afternoon in the title chase for Matt Craftsman. And running right behind him, a driver who's been pretty impressive himself, John West Townley.
John, the 88 truck is asking, don't bump into the corners. You got him a little bit loose. You got him a little nervous there. He thought he was going to wreck. Just don't bump into the corners. 10-4. I didn't know the back stretch, but all right. Yeah, just 10-4. If you're going to do it, which I don't even think you need to be doing right now anyway, just don't worry about bumping him right now. Just kind of drag the brakes a little bit, roll up the throttle.
I like this spotter. I don't think he needs to be doing it right now either. As I say, it'll just get more and more intense as time goes forward. But bouncing into the back of someone with their wheels not pointing in the right direction can cause a crash in a hurry. You can see they got plenty of speed. Townley's able to push Craftsman well enough to where that outside line hasn't been able to make any progress. So what they're doing right now is perfect.
Earlier when we were in Tyler Reddick's truck and you had his in-car up, you could hear him letting on and off the throttle. And I think that one thing a lot of people can't see on TV is just how easy these trucks suck up to each other. And sometimes you have to let off the throttle or drag the brake. Vince?
Well, Kevin, as Michael was talking about that great advice from the spotter of John West Townley, that spotter is Terry Cook, who knows something about getting around racetracks in a truck, won many times. So that experience certainly can help a driver like John West Townley paying off here at Talladega in the early going. Matt?
And Vince, Kevin can attest that you really don't have friends in restrictor plate racing, but there are times you're the Lone Ranger and times that you do have a teammate. And the 88 of Matt Craftsman passed along a message to his spotter, said, tell Cameron Haley's spotter that I owe them one later, because he felt like he needed to do what was best for him and get to the bottom, and he hung out Haley. Still a lot of laps left, and you want to have a friend later on.
You know, there is nothing like a competitor who can rise to the occasion when a championship is on the line. Kevin, we've seen what your 4 team has been able to do at the Sprint Cup level. How about Matt Craftsman? 9 races at Talladega, had led 7 laps. Tight championship battle, he's led 12 here today. That's getting it done when the money is on the line.
Look at the hood on the 14 truck of Daniel Hemrick. You know how violent that air is, Kevin. I don't know if that hood will stay on with that hood pin missing.
Yeah, and that hood's not going to last long, that's for sure, because you do so much to these trucks on the inside of them to make them stiff, and that hood pin has come out, and there's a good possibility that that one winds up around his front windshield.
And you know, it might be wise if the spotter sees that, let's pit that truck, but man, that's going to cause a whole other amount of issues trying to peel out of that pack and get to pit road without getting crashed.
That's what they're going to do. They're told him, hit pit road next time when you don't want to take a chance.
Well, I would pull off the back straightaway, Adam. I'd get down off the racetrack as soon as they hit the back straightaway so everybody knows what I'm doing, because you barely can get off the track without getting run over.
Yeah, and like you said, right now would be a great time to do that. And coming to pit road here under green is always cause for concern, because sometimes people know, sometimes they don't, and that's when people start rearing at each other. So we'll see how this goes.
I know Johnny Sauter knows, but the truck behind Johnny doesn't know. And watch this, can they pull it off? Yes, barely.
Get yourself slowed down.
First time he's made a green flag pit stop
I think he was
at a
speeding.
high-speed racetrack.
Way too fast.
He came in and sped there.
But a good call to bring him to pit road. I mean, you have to get that hood fixed, because fixing that hood and losing a lap or two is going to be better off than crashing that truck and taking yourself completely out of the race.
What's going on, Matt?
Trying to keep themselves in contention now. You can see that the hood pin came out. They are going to put some bear bond down to try to seal up because of that buffeting. They're ratcheting in some screws to try to screw that hood in. They're going to put some bear bond down to try to seal off that seam. Just topping him off of fuel, no tires.
He's going to become the third truck to go one lap down. John Hunter Nemechek went through the triover earlier. Had to make a pit stop, extended time on the pit lane. He went a lap down. Jennifer Jo Cobb is now 3 laps down, and there goes Daniel Hemrick, but he's not going to be able to stay on the lead lap because of that loose hood pin and an unscheduled pit stop. Tough break for the rookie who came in 5th in the championship chase. 34 of 94 complete here at Talladega. Under caution for the second time today, 44-year-old Canadian Terry Jones had an issue entering the tri-oval. His day is done. He'll take the mandatory ride to the infield care center. And this caution, a big break for a couple of drivers. One, Daniel Hemrick, who had to come back down pit road because he was caught speeding entering. So he'll only be 1 lap down. And for John Hunter Nemechek, he was 1 lap down after bringing out the first caution of the afternoon. He gets the free pass and now is back in a really good position.
And I'm hoping that the Hemrick bunch put gas in that truck, because if they did, he can do the wave around right here because of the fact that the caution came out and he won't have to pit. But we'll see if they did that.
Matt Craftsman leading this race. It's funny, you know, during practice and qualifying, he said, I want to go to the back. I like to ride in the back. His crew chief, Junior Joyner, said, you need to be at the front. He qualified 7th. Things work out, and here he is on point. And not only spending time at the front, but he's led the most laps today, which right now would put him in line for a couple of bonus points, and here's the reason we're under caution.
Just in the pack, and he tried to drive to the bottom. It's a whole lot like what we saw John Hunter. Looks like try to turn the truck down, and they just get loose when you do that, especially on the flat of the front straightaway or into the tri-oval, and then hard impact into the safer barrier. That safer barrier that he hit has now been expanded by some 8,000 feet around this racetrack, all down the back straightaway, Kevin. There's safer barrier there. Really thank the track and NASCAR for all they do for safety.
Yeah, it's been a big priority over the last little bit as we look at the safer barrier there at these super speedways, especially, really at every racetrack, but the super speedways have put it all the way around the inside and the outside, and that's a huge cost. But from a safety standpoint and a driver standpoint, you can't say thank you enough.
Last time these drivers were on pit road under caution at lap 14. Most of them fuel only. What happens this time around? Let's get the word from the guy out front, Matt Craftsman.
Yeah, we're coming. Just trying to figure out. I don't want to be here longer than I have to be, you know. We only need just a scotch over 1 can, so there's still 3. What do you think about just right? Yeah, on there. Whatever you think. If we did that, then we could either do left or 4 at the end, you know.
Kevin, you nailed it at the top of the show. Positioning. They're worried about getting just as little gas as they can so they can keep that track position.
That's right. Fastest track on the circuit, and we're talking track position at Talladega. Under caution, second time today here at Talladega. 39 of 94 laps complete for The Camping World Truck Series, Matt Craftsman leading the way. He's led 20 laps today, the most of any driver. Second in that category, Timothy Peters, who started on the pole. And this caution, a big break for a few drivers. One, John Hunter Nemechek, who's going to get the free pass here. Chris Fontaine, who had lost the draft. And also Daniel Hemrick, who had to make an unscheduled pit stop.
Yeah, luckily when they came in to put the tape on the front of the nose and screw the hood back down, they put gas in it too. So we did go back and confirm for sure that they put fuel in. So now he can stay out when all these leaders come in who have to come in. They've been out there for around 20 laps. But when they come in, he can stay out and take the wave around and get back on the lead lap. So they definitely made the right call in fixing their truck.
And he pitted at lap 34. Everyone else going to come down 40, 41, somewhere in that neighborhood. He'll be a little shorter on his fuel window, but shouldn't make a big difference, and likely we'll get a caution between now and when they would come back. Should be a moot point for the 14.
The only concern is that the screws that they put in the hood will hold it, because obviously the bare bond that they put on, they did it hastily and they didn't get it sealed well enough to stay intact. So hopefully they don't think they need to come back to pit road to tape it. But if they do, that'll take away his opportunity to take the wave around.
I can't wait to see what the strategy is right here, because this is where the 4 of Eric Jones is probably in a good spot, because he's already done 4 tires. As a driver, I think this is where you take your lumps and maybe put 4 tires on and be done with it for the race. Could put 2, could put gas only. Lots of strategy getting ready to take place.
Brian Keselowski, same situation as Eric Jones. He was caught speeding earlier. They had taken fuel only, but after the penalty came back around, put on 4 tires. He too could play the game here a little bit. Pit road is open. Here comes Matt Craftsman. Matt?
And Junior Joyner, you heard the conversation between himself and Matt Craftsman, their situation and likely what they were going to do. They're counting him down to his pit box, not slide the tires on entry, easy entry. At this juncture, right side tires for the 88 of Craftsman, just topping him off of fuel.
Well, the man at the 05 of John West Townley pits from the 2nd position, says he likes the balance. It's going to be fuel only. Timothy Peters pits from the 4th spot, right side tires and a chassis adjustment for the 17, and he'll be the first one off pit road.
And contact there. Brandon Jones looked like might have gotten a piece of John West Townley. And we talked about the possibility of Daniel Hemrick taking the wave around. He did come down pit road with the other leaders, so he will be 1 lap down and remain in that spot once we go back under the green flag.
Action can happen anywhere at this super speedway. You can see Townley pulling out. He's got Sauter on his outside. Must have not known Sauter was there. Spotter probably yelled at the last second, got one on the outside. They made contact. He'll probably have to come back to pit road and look at that right front fender.
There's Brandon Jones behind him after the contact. As you pointed out, Michael, Sauter got him on the way by. And a little bit of damage on the right front for Townley there, it looked like.
Yeah, and to me, that's the spotter's fault. Whoever was spotting for him on the way out right there just didn't tell him that there was a truck outside. So he definitely has some damage he needs to fix on the right front fender.
Race off pit road, a couple of veterans. Timothy Peters, Matt Craftsman, 1-2 when we return. Wrapping up our second caution of the day here at Talladega. A race off pit road won by Timothy Peters. He'll be the race leader when we go back under green. Matt Craftsman, Johnny Sauter, Eric Jones, Brandon Jones, the top 5. And, well, big problems for one of the drivers that spent a lot of time up front exiting the pit lane, John West Townley. Some contact with Johnny Sauter there. There was enough damage. They did have to come back down pit road, so he's going to lose all of his track position here.
Stay left, stay left, stay left.
That stay left came a little bit too late.
Yeah, way too late. You know, it's hard because a lot of times that's the crew chief making the call from the top of the pit box, who doesn't necessarily spot all the time, and he's looking forward, and the spotter's seeing it coming, but the crew chief's talking, and there's just a lot of things happening at one time there that sometimes things get missed.
Not a big problem for Johnny Sauter. Came off pit road in 3rd.
Got me right in the driver's door. You know, he was coming out at a 45-degree angle and just glanced off the side. So if anything, just make sure he didn't seal it open. You know what I mean? It probably crushed in a little bit, but
It was so obvious there was so much room for him to get out. I didn't even say anything, you know?
Well, in hindsight, maybe we could have, but that's a calm Johnny Sauter. I like that. He feels like he can win this race today, and he's in a great position to do so.
Let's get a quick reset on a couple of other drivers post pit stops and send it down to Hermie.
Well, Adam, the 19 of Tyler Reddick got 2 right side tires. They waited on fuel, but he is full of fuel now. No changes to the truck. Also, the 98 of Johnny Sauter. Got 2 tires, as did the 33 of Brandon Jones. Both of those trucks restarting in the top 5, Vince.
Well, and what an eventful day it's been for the man who came in as our points leader today. That's Eric Jones. Started 3rd, had that issue with their first pit stop, fell all the way back to 22nd. Came in on this pit stop, took fuel only. They're back up into the top 5. A good recovery for this Kyle Busch Motorsports team.
We've got an intense championship battle right now. Matt Craftsman and Eric Jones, as they run on the track, are tied for the point lead. Tyler Reddick lurking just 21 points back. This thing is getting so good as we race toward Miami.
What's up with Matt Craftsman, Matt?
1 minute you're battling someone for the championship. They're your enemy, your competition. The next minute, they're possibly your friend.
Tell the 4 he can help me as much as he can right here. Try to drag him into 2nd if I can. 10-4, 8-11 back there too. Said they like the way our trucks work together.
Well, I wonder if the 4 knows that when Matt got pushed to the lead by his teammate, he took a lane. He got over on the inside. I don't know if...
Welcome to Talladega, folks. Your enemy can be your friend instantly.
What is best for me right now? That's what I want to know.
Going to complete lap 43. We go back under green. We'll be 4 laps shy of halfway. A couple of Toyotas in the front row, a couple of Toyotas in the second row. Row 3, a Chevy and a Ford.
He's getting the push he wanted from the 4. That's a bump. It's not a push. You're not allowed to push, but you can bump your way to the front.
Be careful. You'll get somebody in trouble over there. Nice work on the inside by those 2 veterans, Johnny Sauter and Timothy Peters, the last 2 winners here at Talladega.
I'd hate to have to make the call on what's a bump and what's a push. That's a fine line.
Yeah, and as a driver, you know you have to be aggressive and you want to help that guy get going. So you want to be as tight as possible and make that bump as long as possible in order to get your line in the right position.
Matt Craftsman penalized here a year ago for locking on and pushing when he and Joe Nemechek were working together in the draft.
Yeah, I don't even remember if he was actually, I think he was actually being pushed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
No
when
fault of his own.
When you're being pushed, you get part of the penalty as well.
Brian Keselowski back up in the mix, got penalized for speeding earlier, dropped back, got those 4 fresh tires. A little strategy here is put him back out front, and Spencer Gallagher in that lead mix along with Christopher Bell, the young kid out of Oklahoma in the draft for the first time in his career.
And this is where the 88 has to decide, do I live up to the promise that I made the guy behind me and stick with him and possibly lose the lead to Timothy Peters, or do I stick with him? And right now he's stuck with him. So that's a hard decision to make as a competitor.
And Craftsman could have clearly pulled over and left Jones, but he decided not to do so. That outside line's strong. What I'm seeing, though, Kevin, is the 88 truck is strong. Whether he's on the inside or the outside, he's able to get that line going faster.
Yeah, I think between the 88 and what was the 05 before he got damaged, I thought those had looked like the strongest 2 trucks before we had had this restart. Now you have a bunch of Toyotas right up in the front of this mix that are, have been pretty strong, but the 88 definitely has been the most consistently strong.
And look in the back here. John West Townley trying to use a 3rd lane, again trying to go outside to make hay, and that's what worked for him early in this race.
Well, and we talked early in the race, if you lay back and try to win the race, look at that pack you got to get through. Townley has found the only way he's going to get there is to start his own line. He's got a really fast truck, but I think that's a tall order to pull a 3rd line up through there.
Yeah, no matter how fast your truck is, you're going to have some help that's going to be consistently behind you, and has to have good trucks too. And he's in the back half of the field, so you get that run, but it's going to die out as soon as you get up there by yourself and drag the RPMs back down.
See that blue and yellow truck behind him? Chris Fontaine was pushing him. That last caution saved Fontaine, who had lost the draft. So 2 guys battling through adverse times, working together a bit here at Talladega.
Craftsman got Jones to the front as well. Those 2 locked together, got 2 trucks from the outside to the front. Now Christopher Bell's latched on to Spencer Gallagher, trying to do the same thing for him.
There's another guy that's been pretty impressive as I've watched the truck races through the years. Spencer Gallagher. He's had a great year. But I think most importantly, he's the only guy that can compete with Brendan Gaughan when it comes to an interview.
He's got a lot of energy. We've got a lot of characters in the truck series. It's so fun covering these kids as they get their racing career started.
Gallagher, top 5 run here a year ago, Vince, and solid here this afternoon.
That's right. He was 3rd here a year ago. Has had some good runs this season as well. Finished second at Gateway. The truck is pretty solid here today as well, although he said on that last run it was a little too tight for his liking, especially on exit at turn 4. So they made a air pressure adjustment, a track bar adjustment, put right side tires on that 23. But I think he's strong enough to make some noise before it's all said and done. Matt?
Learning laps not only for veterans but also young, inexperienced drivers in plate racing. Christopher Bell, his first start here at Talladega, and he's been learning a lot, especially though he's been learning about dealing with a truck with water temperature continuing to climb. He keeps dipping out here or there trying to cool off that engine on the 54. He prefers the inside, but he has to run the outside at this juncture.
Go back to the front. One of his teammates, Eric Jones, riding second right now. Give him an assist when he got Matt Craftsman to the lead moments ago.
And he got himself to second. That's the biggest part of this puzzle. Watch this big bump. Bam!
One after back to the 98. Made her up top right now. Gonna explain back to you.
And you know, Brian Keselowski did a great job of tagging along behind those two. They restarted those three nose to tail in the outside lane, and here they are running 1, 2, 3 on the bottom.
Yeah, you got to give a shout out to Keselowski. Great job for his brother Brad. He's got his truck up to 3rd place.
And you see the 4 and the 88 doing that. It's almost like, all right, guys, let's settle this and just get out of Talladega alive.
What's going on with that 29, Matt?
Not only utilizing his brother's truck, but his brother's spotter, Joey Meyer. In fact, when you were talking about that great move he made, he did it on his own. He didn't anticipate. He just saw the opening and took advantage of it. Didn't delay it. And Joey came on the radio and said, great move, you're clear. And then Brian jokingly laughed back, clear on the inside. Vince.
Well, you talked about the 4 and getting that big push of the 88 to push the 88 to the front. The 4's been at the front a lot this season as well. Has led almost 700 laps, but only 49 laps led in the last 8 races, and it's caused a lot of people to wonder about whether or not they have the power that some of those other Toyotas have, and the difference that we've seen over the course of the last couple of months. The Ford truck looks pretty strong here today. They ran second at Daytona. He was 6th here a year ago. They know what they're doing on these super speedways. Hermie?
Well, Vince, the 33 of Brandon Jones been fighting a little bit of a track position issue, but he's overcome an obstacle early on. He got a lot of grass on the grill on the front of this truck early on, and really he turned all his engine fans off, radiator fans, and got up close to other trucks on the racetrack to clean the grill off, but got that issue taken care of. He got 2 tires last time down pit road, got it full of fuel, and is very confident right now, currently up to the 6th position.
Oh, guys, I'm getting nervous. This is just out of control in the back. I know that winning breeds confidence, and John West Townley won our last race. He's in a tough position. It'll be interesting to see if he can be patient enough with the confidence that he has to race his way back to the front. Look at the push he's given Daniel Hemrick here.
Yeah, and he has to be aggressive to get back to the front. But with all that commotion that was just caused, that was from one lap truck where that snake of a line had to move up, and all of a sudden things got shook up a little bit. They weren't so in line and so perfect. Guys dive into the bottom, guys dive into the middle because they thought they had a run, all by going around one lap truck.
You know how intense it gets when you come up on a lapper. That looked like it could have been a crash easily. Everybody did a nice job working their way through it.
Couple of trucks flirting with that yellow line. Ray Black Jr., that red, white, and blue machine, had all 4 wheels below the double yellow line for a moment there.
You can go under it, you just can't pass under it. Looked like Black held his position.
Yeah, sometimes you might be running hot.
Yeah.
You're trying to just get some fresh air into the grill, and that's the best way to do it, is just get down there where nobody is.
Haven't seen this much today. John West Townley in that bottom gear
let off.
That was a big lift. There was something that checked up really big, a couple, 3 or 4 trucks in front of him, because that was a big lift.
He's lucky he didn't get run over from behind, because you can't see through these trucks. You can see there. He can't tell what's going on 2 trucks ahead.
In front of him, that's John Hunter Nemechek, and in front of him, Daniel Hemrick, who continues 1 lap down.
I'll tell you this about JWT. He ain't afraid to put it in the hole. He saw one to the left, and he dove in it.
Most laps led today, Matt Craftsman has now been out front for 29 circuits. And as Kevin pointed out earlier, that could be huge when you talk about this championship battle where bonus points mean everything.
And they're adding up fast. He's at 29 laps, coming to 30 laps led, and he's going to get to a point where there's not going to be anybody but Timothy Peters that can catch him. So that's going to be a big point. Every point matters.
You get a bonus point for leading a lap. You get another bonus point for leading the most laps in NASCAR, and every position on track worth a point. Coming into today, Eric Jones in that black and red number 4, 19-year-old out of Michigan, led the championship by 4 points. He's riding right behind the guy that would take over the championship lead if he can hang on here, Matt Craftsman. Starting to get really good here at Talladega. Camping World Truck Series, 56 of 94 complete this afternoon. Talladega Superspeedway, Matt Craftsman, Eric Jones, Brian Keselowski, Timothy Peters, Johnny Sauter, the top 5. Let's get a word on the guys that are trying to run down a championship in 2015. We start out with Hermie Sadler. What's going on, Herm?
Well, the 19 of Tyler Reddick has done everything his team has asked him to do, but a little bit of frustration as the inside line a couple times has been bottled up and had to get out of the throttle, so he's lost a fair amount of track position. Needs to start working his way back up into contention as we come down the stretch. They're looking to come to pit road. If we don't have a caution, at around lap 70 to 71 is when we'll see the 19 back on pit road. Vince?
Well, that 4 truck of Eric Jones will need to come to pit road one more time as well. He came into the race today as the points leader for the 4th straight race. They've already recovered from near disaster, had to go back to 22nd after a pit stop blunder, but they have fought their way back. They kept their composure, and Eric Jones, who's already won twice this season, looking for a 3rd win here today. Matt?
When you're driving down the interstate and maybe your gas pedal foot starts to fall asleep or have some discomfort, sometimes you can just slip your left foot over and continue on with the throttle. Not so when you're at these speeds, and not so if you're Matt Craftsman. He's got an issue with his gas pedal, too much heat coming through the floorboard, giving him a hot right foot. That's really the only issue he's had. But Kevin, I got a question for you. His spotter is Jason Hedleski. At these speeds and at this racing here, having a spotter who's a former driver like your spotter Timmy Feedwell, what are some of the advantages?
Well, I think that the biggest advantage is just knowing what the situation is all about. And as a driver, when you get excited or wound up, those guys know why, and they can help you through those types of situations. But I can tell you that that's a very common problem here at Talladega because of the way that you run wide open with that gas pedal getting hot. A lot of people run wooden gas pedals. A lot of people run different types of material to try to keep the heat down on that particular pedal because you have to put your foot on there all day. So I have to say I am guilty of using my left foot on the gas pedal at times to give my right foot a break.
What about John West Townley? This truck is so fast. We've heard him off the gas, backing off, but he can't get there. How frustrating must it be for John West right now? Look, he's going to go 4 wide. He's just going to have to, he's trying things that I don't know he wants to because he's so frustrated about being hung in the back.
Yeah, and I think the best thing that can happen for him right now is for him to clear these trucks and be the leader of this lane. And I think as you see him get up behind the 14 here, this is probably a better situation for him. But this is what we talked about earlier, track position. He's probably got one of the top 3 fastest trucks on the racetrack, and he can't make his way to the front of the pack. And until they start deciding that they're going to start pushing and shoving to get this outside lane going, he's not going to be able to make much ground because everybody's content to wait till the end to try to make their move.
And how good does this make Matt Craftsman feel right now? Up there on the point, he talked about falling back and not running at the front of the pack. If he had have done that, he would be faced with the same situation.
Yeah, it just puts you in such a box. You don't have an option because everybody in front of him has to start making a move for him to really make ground. So now the only option that he has is to be really aggressive, and 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work out well.
Heard our pit reporters talking a moment ago about the championship front runners and when they would next be on pit road if we don't get a caution. The conversations on the pit lane already taking place. So you can plan your strategy with those around you on track. You pit with them, you go off the pit lane with them, and you don't lose your drafting help.
Well, you want a clean pit box too, so you want to make sure that you know when the guy in front of you is pitting and the guy behind you is pitting, because you want to be able to get in and out of your pit box clean and try to do everything as smooth as possible on and off of pit road and on pit road. So you want to coordinate with the guys that you're around, but sometimes it's more important to get on and off pit road clean no matter who you come with.
Try to think about if you're Matt Craftsman right now. He made a deal with Eric Jones. You push me to the lead and I'll hang out here for you. They both got to the front. They both race Toyotas. How long will this deal last? Are they going to be able to race all the way to the checkered with a pact, and then try to figure it out on the last lap?
Well, I didn't finish my comment earlier when I was talking about leaving here alive. I meant leave here alive in the championship points race. And I think those guys are looking at it as, hey, you know, we need to finish this day in order for both of us to survive, and individually being greedy. And I think as you look at the end of this race, they're going to try to position themselves to win the race, but they also just want to get to next week. Matt?
When you're out front, you have a chance to multitask, and that's exactly what Matt Craftsman was doing. He came on the radio and asked Junior Joyner if that was one of his crew members down talking to the Ford team of Eric Jones. And Junior looked up and just started laughing, shaking his head. He says, no. And he goes, oh, okay, well, as I was driving by, I looked up on the big screen, and I thought I saw one of our guys.
You drivers are control freaks. You always want to know what's going on.
There's something looming, though. It's green flag pit stops. If we stay green to lap 72, 74, these trucks will all have to come to pit road. And golly, that's a major chance for a terrible accident, just trying to work with each other to get to pit road.
Yeah, because everybody's on different agendas. They have different laps that they want to pit on. They have different trucks they want to pit with. You have all that stopping and slowing down coming on the pit road. So, you know, the biggest thing is you don't want to be the last guy to pit, and it has to go through all those checkups, and you lose a ton of ground.
And regardless of when they pit from here on out, everyone is in their window to be able to make it the distance on this next pit stop. 31 to go, and green flag pit stops on the way at Talladega. A story developing here at Talladega for a man that has won the last 2 championships. Matt Craftsman, debris on the grill. The truck is overheating. He was out front. It led 43 laps today, but had to give up the top spot, and he is falling through the draft, Matt.
The strategy has changed for Matt Craftsman. The water temperature, as you can see, it's now spitting water. The debris that was on the front bare bond has blown off the 88. The temperatures will be coming down, but now they're in a situation where they were going to try to pit with their fellow teammates in the Toyota camp, not Eric Jones, because Jones has to come earlier. They didn't pack that full of fuel. They're looking to come around lap 78.
And this is like what we saw early in the race, Matt. Look who's pushing him. John West Townley had that contact on pit road, had to repair it, lost a ton of track position. He is hooked up with Matt Craftsman, but with Craftsman dropping back, it's put Eric Jones in the lead. He's now gathering in a bonus point.
But you can see that water streaming out of there. That's a lot of water to be losing, Kevin. That's just part of the front straightaway we're watching that. If he lost too much water, he could blow his engine up.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you see him pull up behind that truck right there, what happens is the pressure on that tape, keeping it connected to the grill, just kind of lessens up, and it was able to blow that bare bond off. But these are the 2 fastest trucks, in my opinion, John West Townley and Matt Craftsman. So if there's anybody who's going to be able to make it back to the front, it'll be these 2 trucks. But as they start to pit right here, this is where the experienced guys like Matt Craftsman and Timothy Peters and some of these guys that have gotten onto pit road before under green, they can make up ground, they can make up time, and this is the easiest time to make up positions when you have a pit road green flag pit stops. Matt?
Now trying to regroup what their strategy will be as far as pitting goes, but Craftsman does say the temperature has dropped from 290 down to 240.
That's good news, but man, he's in a...
Up to you. He wants to push you back to the front. It's up to you. If you want to try, we can go. You tell me.
He's in a huge...
Let it cool down. Let it cool down for a minute.
That pack that he's in, and trying to manipulate how you get to pit road, work yourself into a position where you think you can safely get onto pit road. It's really tough.
And the numbers would say, and our pit reporters talked about it, we're getting pretty close here to making green flag pit stops. Last time these guys were down, most of them came at lap 40 for service. We've completed 70 laps in the fuel window today, right around 35. So somewhere next 3, 4, 5 laps, everybody should have to come for a scheduled green flag pit stop.
Well, they're for sure all going to come, and it's just going to come down to making sure you don't do anything wrong. And like Mikey said, getting onto pit road, this is the scariest part of these races because there's so many different agendas on how hard you can get down to that pit entrance that sometimes, a lot of times, most everybody decides to run over each other.
Yeah, if you exit turn 4, you can run wide open off of turn 4 onto the straightaway, Adam. And if I'm one of these guys that pits out of this pack, I would take a hard left as soon as I got straight onto the front so that no one could hit me. But inevitably, when a guy sees another truck pit, he'll decide it's his turn to pit, and then the chain reaction will cause an accident. Let's watch that closely.
We have had green flag pit stops for the trucks at Talladega the last 2 years, so it's common to have at least one cycle. Seen a couple of drivers get penalized for speeding today. Brian Keselowski had a penalty under caution earlier. He's running second right now. Daniel Hemrick penalized when he came down under green. He is 1 lap down.
How cool does it feel to be Brian Keselowski right now? He's up there in the second place driving his brother Brad's truck. That's a great story. It's so fun to see Brian doing such a great job in Brad's truck.
I stand corrected. Hemrick had to make another unscheduled stop to repair damage. They have now fallen 5 laps off the pace. For a good portion of the last 30 laps, they rode in the free pass position.
Yeah, he's on pit road now, Adam, getting service to that 14 truck, so his day's over. Sounds like the pit stops are going to start this lap. This needs to be synchronized driving here. You see him waving, but no one else can see him waving except for Brian Keselowski after that. It's all about the spotters telling each other what to do, and the drivers making good decisions here as they head toward pit road.
First time Eric Jones competed at Talladega a year ago, he was 6th. Second earlier this season at Daytona. He's coming to pit road with 22 to go and bringing a bunch of them with him. Johnny Sauter, one of those, won here a couple of years ago, Hermie.
A former winner at Talladega is Johnny Sauter. It'll be fuel only for the 98, no adjustments. A solid day for Johnny Sauter. Still waiting on fuel. Finally, he gets it in gear and goes. Matt?
And Brian Keselowski in the 29 truck. They're waiting on fuel. He's full, and he's away. Vince.
The 4 of Eric Jones is in, came in, did not slide the tires at all. They're getting the fuel in. Right side tires, came in as the leader, and away is Eric Jones.
Plenty of guys to draft with, but he did lose a little track position by getting those right side tires. Talking about Eric Jones.
The first wave safely onto pit road. Let's see if the next pack can get on. They're not all coming.
Timothy Peters stays out with his teammate Ben Kennedy.
Timmy Hill hits pit road in that number 94 truck. He's been solid all day, running up inside the top 15.
Looked up one time, Timmy Hill running in the 8th position. Great effort by the guys out of the 94 camp.
Yeah, and a lot of that might be this pack might just want to make sure that everybody didn't wreck. You know, they didn't want to get caught, trying to get onto pit road or already haven't been on pit road and then the caution come out. So there's just all different kind of methods to the madness as you start pitting under green, and the fuel window's not really that tight. So everybody has a little leeway as to when they can get onto pit road.
Yeah, the longer you run right now, the less fuel you'll need. Maybe a second or two shorter pit stop could gain you 10, 20 positions on the track.
A lot of anxiety on the pit lane as you try to orchestrate the plan. 20 laps to go. Junior Joyner talking to the guys from the 05, John West Townley. That lead pack bypassing pit road one more time.
Positioning, we talked about it from the beginning. If you can get yourself in a position to take less fuel on your stop than the rest, we saw how hard it was for Craftsman and Townley to make their way through the pack. Maybe they can pass them on pit road.
Use a little strategy. Yeah, and the less time you spend on pit road, like you say, the better off you're going to be. So the other thing is just this pack has been up to speed. It hasn't been checked up and hasn't had to come back up to speed and hasn't had to get reformed. So it'll be interesting to see when they come out as to how they get formed back up.
Problems with the 88.
Getting a report, could he be out of gas? They have run it right up against the edge of the fuel window. Craftsman going to pit this time.
We're coming, guys. He's out of gas.
How's
he has been a fuel-saving machine in 2015, but out of fuel here. It's gone from bad to worse for the guy who has won the last 2 titles and came in as a runner-up in the championship chase. John West Townley in as well, Vince.
Well, John West Townley won our last race at Las Vegas and has one of the fastest trucks here today, but contact with Johnny Sauter earlier today on pit road caused them a problem. They lost track position. It's been tough getting back to the front for John West Townley. Matt?
They were going to pit on lap 78. They have put fuel in the truck. He's trying to get it to stay cranked. They don't want him to pull out of the box in case it may stall. Then they would have to push it. They only have a couple of pit boxes to be able to do that. It's still not where he needs it.
This has got to be painful for Craftsman. Remember Michael at Las Vegas dominated that race but had to pit late because they weren't going to make it on fuel.
And I'm nervous for these guys now because you know, it didn't sound like the 05 truck was running either, because he definitely had to refire it because of the flames coming out of the pipe. But I think the 88 still did the right thing there, making sure it was running, not getting stuck on pit road and having the crew. They lost the least amount of time as they possibly could by making sure that the truck was running.
But look at the points he's going to lose if this thing goes green all the way to the checker flag. He's all the way back in the 23rd position now, and his stop was so long that he won't have anyone to draft with. He's going to need a caution, or his championship hopes are going to take a big hit.
And now the top 5 going to make their pit stop under green. Comes with 17 to go, and it's the 17 leading him in, and also making a pit stop here, the 19th of Tyler Reddick. Hermie.
They had planned to pit with the 88, but he ran out of fuel early. They stayed on the racetrack to come in behind the 17 and 11. It'll be fuel and left side tires for the 19, Vince.
The 17 of Timothy Peters is in, started on the pole. He's led 21 laps today, just fuel only, enough to get him to the end, and hopefully he hopes wins at Talladega for a 2nd consecutive year.
Be the 3rd driver to win twice at Talladega if he can pull it off. Talking about Timothy Peters, Todd Bodine also did it. Kyle Busch doing the same. And as those guys exit the pit lane, here come those who have already made their pit stops, their final stops of the day. 16 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line.
What do you think, Harv? Are these boys going to be able to jockey for position and battle for this win without us seeing another caution? Will Craftsman catch a break being separated from the pack and miss the big wreck, or will it happen at all?
I think there's going to be another wreck, because I think the intensity level is going to be up as we see one off the pace down there on the apron. But that 29 truck obviously did a great job getting on and off the pit road to come out in front of all these guys with their sequence and the way that things worked out.
Keselowski is scored in 5th, but look at all the momentum as they go around those guys that just left the pit lane. And Brad Keselowski got to be smiling. Inside lane, Tyler Reddick. Outside, Brian Keselowski looking for another pair of finishes inside the top 5 for those trucks out of the Brad Keselowski stables.
That was the 68 truck of Clay Greenfield we saw low on the back straightaway. He didn't have much speed. I don't know if he'll make it back or not. This could be the caution Craftsman's needing.
And now our Camping World 15 to go.
15 to go in the Camping World Truck Series at Talladega. This is as nervous as I get all year long, just knowing what lies ahead. Look at these guys scrambling through lap trucks now. Where's Keselowski going to go?
Ben Kennedy is the race leader in that black 11. Brian Keselowski threading through lap traffic. He's in 2nd, and right behind him, championship leader Eric Jones, who's in a great position right now at the biggest wild card left on the schedule. Jones going to push Brian Keselowski to the race lead, coming to 14 to go here at Talladega.
Look at Townley trying to squeeze in on Ben Kennedy. He makes it right behind Brandon Jones in the 33.
And look how much ground John West Townley has made up over these pit stops. I mean, he was battling in the middle of the pack. Now he's sitting there in contention to win the race in 4th.
Thinking about Brad Keselowski and how special this track has been to him and the big wins he has had here. Remember that first career victory, pulled an upset driving the 09? Last year, had to win here if he was going to advance in the chase. He did it and was able to move on to the Eliminator 8. Perhaps today his older brother could win, and now caution. 3rd one of the day with 14 to go.
Yellow's out.
Problem for Clay Greenfield in the 68. What a finish it's going to be. Big race win on the line at Talladega and taking another step toward a championship. Oh, the anxiety. "12 laps remaining here at Talladega, and we just saw Matt Craftsman on pit road. What's the story there, Matt?
And now, due to the caution, hitting the reset button on the 88, they brought Craftsman down, not only put more fuel in his truck, but also gave him 4 fresh tires for this final run to the finish.
Caution was big for them, though. If they don't get this caution, they're in huge trouble.
Huge. Now it's just going to be a matter of, if there is an accident, if he's able to miss it. But listen, look at the stories that are developing here. Brian Keselowski leading for his brother Brad. You got Eric Jones racing for a title right there in 2nd. Brandon Jones, relative newcomer to the NASCAR series, he's up there with a chance to win. You got Townley, who's battled back from the back with damage to the right side. He's in a position to win.
If you're Eric Jones, what are you thinking on this restart? You got a Ford up there and 3 Chevrolets. That's what will be around you for this restart that we'll get with right around 10 to go.
All right, Cody, go
go get with Townley. You know, we need him to be a pushing son of a gun. We're teammates of a different manufacturer, but they should know that. If Townley pushes us, we'll be leading. You want to be leading or you want to be second? KB thinks we should lead. Let's work Townley really hard. We'll try not to hang him. You know what I mean? Do what Craftsman did for us. Work hard. Townley's been good at pushing. As long as he doesn't lock too much, you know, and get us both a penalty.
Well, guys, you guys have talked about upstairs how that 05 of John West Townley has been so strong today, and others along pit road have noticed it. That 4 team, they want to work with the 05 to get to the finish. They're also conscious of what's happening with Matt Crafton. Rudy Fugel, the crew chief for Eric Jones, told Eric just a moment ago, Crafton was saved by that yellow. He was going to finish back around 23rd. He's going to make up some points, but right now Eric Jones' championship lead has ballooned to 23 points.
If I'm Eric Jones, I'm going to hope or believe or be ready for Brian Keselowski not getting a great start here. This restart is the key to victory for that 29 truck. Can he pull off the perfect restart at the right time?
Well, I think he can, but I think that the 4 truck has the best pusher. I think he has the fastest truck behind him with John West Townley in the 05. So it's going to be interesting, but I just love the story of Brian and Brad and his dad and the history that they have had in this series. How awesome is that to see?
They defined the truck series. His father won. Brad got his chance in the truck series to make his name, and he did it. And now Brian is up there trying to do the same thing. This is a very, very good story.
What are they saying on the radio, Matt?
Guys, no sport symbolizes family involvement more than auto racing. When you look back to 1969, the Keselowskis were here. Uncle Ron, Grandpa John, and then, of course, Brian's dad, Bob. They were all working on Ron's car. Through the years, they've had 88, 98, and then Bob settled on the number 19. But then when he met the love of his life, besides racing, his wife, they married at the age of 29. He swapped over to 29. So Brian's late model number for years, 29. Brad's 19. Brian told me it kind of comes around full circle, the family tradition. He goes, I'm back here in the 29, my dad's number. 2 weeks ago, I was an ARCA crew chief. Today, I have the best chance of my career for a win.
Brian, a 34-year-old, making his Truck Series debut. He'd love to go 1 for 1, get the victory here today, driving for younger brother Brad. Here's a bit of the family tree when you talk about the Keselowskis and what they've meant to the Camping World Truck Series.
I think we got to go get some, Matt, but we can't wreck. So we'll just kind of see how it, shakes out in the first couple corners. You know, they were racing hard right there before the yellow. They were getting ready to wreck. Pass some, miss the wreck, and then go get the rest of them.
Got Brian Keselowski out there leading this thing. And right around him, a couple of young guns, and Eric Jones and Brandon Jones, both of which will move from the Truck Series to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, running full-time next year. Eric Jones for Joe Gibbs, Brandon Jones for Richard Childress Racing. 10 laps to go when we get the green flag. Keselowski, Eric Jones on the front row. Brandon Jones, John West Townley on row 2. We're getting ready to try it once again here at Talladega.
That was a good break by Keselowski that the guy behind him, Brandon Jones, was able to pull right up on his back bumper and give him that push. But look at the strong run on the outside from Townley, pushing Jones.
You said it, Kevin, but what John West Townley has done here today, maybe as impressive as what he did a few weeks ago when he won at Las Vegas.
He's been consistent. He's been up there all day, and man, look at that bottom lane and how hard those guys are pushing each other.
Spencer Gallagher in that mix. He was top 10 here a year ago, top 5 actually, and right behind him, the blue and orange Toyota of Christopher Bell, his first ever opportunity in the draft.
And you can feel the aggression level is going to pick up, because that's the only way that outside lane is going to get back to the front. They're going to have to push, they're going to have to shove, and I know I've said it all day, but this is the time they're going to have to do it the hardest.
Look at all the positions and points that Eric Jones is losing right here. He's stuck on that outside line, and he's not able to make any progress with Townley pushing.
And look who's coming in the 3rd lane leading the charge. On board with Matt Crafton. 91 into the wall. That's Stanton Barrett. Caution again.
Yeah, Matt Crafton was involved in that crash, guys. Our point contender Crafton was a part of that.
Crafton was going to lay back no more. Getting very aggressive in that outside lane. Stanton Barrett scored in the 20th position when he hit the wall, and it appears there's some damage for that 88 on the left front.
He'll have to come to pit road. You can't take a chance on that tire getting cut. See what happened. Oh, Barrett just tried to change lanes, and it was Craftsman who was a victim of that bad decision.
Inside, Sam Barrett just wrecked us. Clear down, clear down.
Just so you know, that wasn't the spotter's fault. Sometimes when you're in these trucks, you got to make decisions on your own to change lanes. Barrett thought he was clear. Obviously, he wasn't.
Well, he saw a good truck coming, and he wanted to be in front of that momentum of Matt Craftsman to try to keep himself moving up in the pack, and he just made the decision too late.
How would you guys assess that damage there? How big of a concern is it for Junior Joyner and the guys?
Well, I haven't been able to see it yet, but I know Junior had a good view of the truck coming through the tri-oval, and they're implementing a plan now. It sounds like, looks like by his hand gestures, they might come to pit road.
Well, I think based upon where he is on the track too. I mean, he's P20, and I think when you look at the implications that it could have if that thing starts flapping, cuts a tire, it's worse than you think it is. I think you at least got to come down and check it out.
See the whole crack in the fender? That's where the fender meets the nose, and it looks like it's torn apart.
This team has won the last 2 championships. They do it out of Sandusky, Ohio. Don't necessarily always have the talent pool right around you that you would like, but they do an unbelievable job of going out, finding the right people, competing at the highest level. In the last couple of years have gotten the sport's biggest trophy in the Truck Series. It's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. 8 laps to go for the Camping World Truck Series here in Talladega. Brian Keselowski is the race leader. Brandon Jones, Spencer Gallagher, Christopher Bell, and Timothy Peters, the top 5. A number of different championship implications on the line this afternoon. Let's get the latest from pit road and send it down to Matt Yoakum.
Directly behind the 88 pit, Junior Joyner had the big screen to get a great look at just how severe the damage is to that left front, telling his team different things that he wants to accomplish once Craftsman gets to pit road and in the order that he wants to do them. But think back now, the impact and championship implications about running out of gas and then the snowball effect of where Craftsman is now.
Well, they are going to head your way, Matt. Got to get that damage worked on, and this is a perfect time to talk about the procedural change that NASCAR has implemented for this weekend, and right now this weekend only, for both today's race in the Camping World Truck Series and tomorrow at the Sprint Cup level. Normally, if we go past 1 lap to go in the race and the caution comes out, we will get 3 attempts, up to 3 attempts at a green-white checker. NASCAR said safety reasons this weekend, only 1 attempt at a green-white checker.
Yeah, and I think the reason that was implemented is, you know, it becomes just a pushing match as you get towards the end of these races. And I think if there's 1 green-white checkered, I think that's enough to settle it at these super speedways. If the more that you get, it seems like just the more stuff that you tear up. And I think from a driver standpoint, for a safety aspect, and really from a team owner standpoint, just to have enough equipment to roll back into the truck and get to the track the next week has a lot to do with that.
Taping up the left front for Matt Craftsman. A restart here will come with 5 laps to go or less. Going to be one heck of a finish at Talladega.
8 trucks involved in this one. You would call it the big one from Talladega.
Wow, this is intense action. Look how tight these are.
And it's too tight and into the wall. Timothy Peters in the 17. Johnny Sauter, he won at Daytona earlier this year. Can he do it again? They wreck behind him. They're rolling behind him. Now the 88 spins. Thor's Ford is going to win. It's going to be Johnny Sauter that will get the win, but they wreck behind him.
See so many wrecks in the straightaways here because of all that movement in the trucks. People trying to make moves.
Yeah, the 39 got up on everybody's right side and done something stupid. Nothing you could do there.
You just never know what you might see when you come to Talladega Superspeedway in Central Alabama. Gorgeous afternoon for the Camping World Truck Series, racing for the 19th time in 2015. Caution is out for the 4th time today. Going to be 5 laps to go when they come back around past the start-finish line. And the race leader is Brian Keselowski. Matt?
and Brian Keselowski making his first Truck Series start, but driving like a veteran. What impresses you most? He's chosen the bottom again. What impresses you most about his composure that's put him in this shot to win?
I would say mostly he seems like he's done this many times before, like almost like a veteran, and like having his brother in the truck. It's probably, I guess it's a family trait, and all three of them, this pressure's not getting to him. It's getting to me way more than it's getting to him. He's been smiles the whole time, and he's ready to go. And if he does pull this out, it'd be an awesome win for him, his family, the sport, really. Have all three, win in the three major series like this. It'd be awesome. But he's been awesome all day. He's been fun to work with all weekend. Been nothing but smiles, nothing but praise for, being here and having this opportunity. So really looking forward to the end of this race. Hopefully it goes the way we want it to.
And spotter Joey Meyer's done a great job sizing up the competition around him, giving him the information of who will be around him on the restart to know how to handle the situation.
Matt, got to be a lot of anxiety for these teams at this stage because it's all in the driver's hands, right?
Well, do you think about the crew chief down there? He's done all he can do. It's up to Brian Keselowski now. And I think about the team and how frustrated now, how excited they are. What about the family? What about Brad Keselowski, who's put so much into the Truck Series, owns these trucks? His dad, Bob, his Uncle Ron, that whole family right now is on the edge of their seat, hoping this man can pull it off.
Well, I've sat up there with the crew chiefs before as the truck owner, and there is really not a more helpless feeling in the world than sitting up there watching your trucks go around the racetrack. But I can tell you, I had a great relationship with Ron Hornaday and many of the drivers that drove our trucks. But I promise you that Brad Keselowski and his family are probably somewhere pacing right now, so nervous.
You know that's right. And you know what? In that top four, experience important at Talladega? I don't think so. Between the four of them, one start here at this racetrack.
Well, and Michael Eric Jones hopes to take advantage of that. His crew chief, Rudy Fugle, with me. You sit fifth now. At least you're on the inside for this restart. How aggressive do you want Eric to be with the championship hanging in the balance?
This Toyota's been really fast all day long, but you kind of got to get the best finish you can. But he knows what to do. We did it in Daytona. We were third or fourth in the bottom lane, and we made a move, got to second. Hopefully we can get one more spot.
Thanks. Hermie?
Shane Huffman is the crew chief for Brandon Jones in the 33. You sit second. Your teammate is in the mix as well. What's the plan for this restart?
Well, we're going to try to get pushed to the lead here. That's the goal. If we don't, our teammate is third there, so I feel like we have a shot at getting in line right there. But I really think that we've been searching for track position all day to be able to get to the front. At Daytona, this truck led really well with Ty in it. So Brandon's just done an exceptional job in a Whittigen Silverado here. So you know how it's going to be, Herm. It's going to be chaos. So just whatever happens, happens. Either way, Derek Nealon, our spotter, and Brandon's done an exceptional job. And just proud of these guys. We built a fast Silverado, so it's all in God's hands.
Shane Huffman, he's the crew chief for Brandon Jones.
4 to go when we go green. Championship front runners. Eric Jones restarts 5th. Tyler Reddick 11th. Matt Crafton 22nd. Time to settle it on a Saturday afternoon in Talladega, Alabama.
Jones gets a strong start on the outside.
How about that push from Christopher Bell in that outside lane?
Oh, but here comes Keselowski with some help from Gallagher. He's going to get even with Jones. Looked like for a second Jones might have room to pull over.
Yeah, and that third truck in the top lane, it's closed back up now, but they aren't as connected as well as the guys in the bottom. So the only chance they have is for them, the first two trucks, to stay connected as long as possible.
And NASCAR's got their binoculars pulled and their eyes peeled, looking for pushing. You can bump at this stage of the race, but you can't push.
Christopher Bell got to be careful. He's not experienced at this.
Bell pushes Jones to the front.
Keep an eye on Timothy Peters, third in line. He's the guy with all the experience. Won this race 1 year ago. 3 laps remain at Talladega.
It'll be a miracle if they make it 3 laps. They're very aggressive right now. Timothy Peters is watching that 33 truck just bounce all over the place.
54 posted, pass-through penalty, pushing it. Here's the big one down the back straightaway at Talladega.
Matt Crafton in it.
And he just knew it had to happen at some point. It was just too tight. There was too much pushing and shoving, and finally it all just broke loose.
So NASCAR felt Christopher Bell too aggressive in pushing at the front of the field when he was tucked in right behind Brandon Jones.
You know what the shame of that is, though? They went by Brian Keselowski by pushing like that. Brian lost his chance to win the race. NASCAR didn't think that was too much pushing, so they black flag Bell.
And Matt Crafton today just unraveled in the last 20 laps with everything that's happened, and it resulted in that.
Got the debris on the grill, lost the race lead, ran out of fuel, and now this big crash. Tyler Reddick able to drive through the mess, right now scored in the 10th position.
And look, Eric Jones, he's in the 6th spot where he was when all that broke out. He made it through the wreck. This could be just the day that young man needed in order to chase down his first championship.
2 laps to go, and NASCAR has decided to stop the trucks entering turn 1. And there you see what's left of the Toyota of Matt Crafton.
Oh, it looked like that. The Johnny Sauter truck, I think, was in the middle, and someone didn't know he was there.
Yeah, it was a 51 truck, Mike. It looked like he was on the top 3 wide there and started to come down over the cross of over the front of Johnny Sauter's nose, and that's really what triggered the whole accident.
Yeah, that 51 of Matt Tift got turned around riding backwards, saw damage for Tyler Tanner in the 63. Another look here.
See, there was Sauter right on the tailgate of the 51, and then look, Crafton just almost squeaked by the outside, but couldn't quite make it.
94 of Timmy Hill in that mix. We go on board with Tyler Reddick. What did he see?
This should give us a great view. You can see Sauter very aggressively up the middle.
Line up out there. You go,
there
buddy.
just wasn't room.
Get low, get low. Keep coming there. Keep coming low, 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 low. Watch that 98. Caution's going to be out. Caution's going to be out. You're clear up. Great job.
On board with Matt Crafton.
Twitching, I believe. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Reckon. Stay straight, stay straight.
He just missed getting through there.
I like what Crafton did. He just left the hammer down. He knew if he was going to make it through, that was his only chance.
Yeah, the hole just closed up a little quicker than he needed to.
Our 5th caution of the day has turned in to our first red flag, and that's why you saw the NASCAR official waving the crew members away. NASCAR rules prohibit you from working on a vehicle when the red flag is out. But for Matt Crafton, he was able to get back around onto pit road. They were able to survey the damage. So now at least they can start building parts and pieces. So once the red flag is lifted, it might expedite the process of getting that truck back together.
It was hard to tell whether Sauter was in there when the wreck started or if he just tried to get in there. But certainly there was an attempt by Johnny to go 3 wide, and
yeah, I think as Johnny was coming up the middle, it was like that hole was closing at the same time. It's really, I don't know that you can lay blame on either of the guys.
Christopher Bell sitting 2nd on track, but he's been penalized, and here's the reason why.
Yeah, I was watching this and didn't want to say anything just for the fact of they were connected pretty much a lap.
I mean, can we argue that? I mean, the 17 was right on our bumper, too. There's nothing we can do to get off of him. You'll have to plead your case down there, Eddie.
That was the crew chief, I think, of Christopher Bell saying we didn't do anything wrong there. But obviously they were connected to the 33 truck, and that's how they drove around the 29 of Brian Keselowski. Keselowski's now in the 3rd spot, though, so with a good push and a frantic finish, who knows what might happen.
Interestingly, though, no penalty announced for Brandon Jones, who received the benefit. Last year, we saw both the 8 and the 88 penalized when they were pushing one another. Brandon Jones scored as the race leader. We're going to overtime at Talladega because of a huge crash late down the back straightaway. It's been quite an afternoon at Talladega Superspeedway for the Camping World Truck Series, racing for the 19th time in 2015. Their 10th trip here to this unbelievable facility in Central Alabama, and when we came on the air today, we said this could be the big wild card, the difference maker when you talk about the championship, and well, we've gotten exactly what we thought. We're under caution for the 5th time today. Eventually the red flag would come out. Timothy Peters started on the pole, and he dominated this race early. He's led 21 laps today.
They tried to go 3 and 4 wide in the back to race toward the front, but the bottom line has just been dominant so far today. We've seen a couple of good pushes from the outside, but man, back in the pack, it's hard to make any ground.
12 laps in, first caution of the afternoon. John Hunter Nemechek gets turned through the infield grass, able to save it as he came out of the tri-oval, would lose a lap, but since that time has been able to get the free pass. He scored in the 12th position.
And this hood flapping right here, Daniel Hemrick's crew made a good decision to come in and fix it, because it could have been a lot worse, but they came in, got a lap down and made the truck keep running.
Daniel Hemrick also had some battery issues. He's now 7 laps down. That's a hard hit for Terry Jones, but as we talked about, thank goodness for the safer barriers here at Talladega. Terry out of the race, obviously, scored in 31st. And a few drivers having some issues on pit road. Brian Keselowski, one of them.
Yeah, and he's recovered nicely from the things that they had happen on pit road right here and put 4 tires on and managed the race correctly. Same thing for John West Townley, who they didn't manage that situation very well, but they've come back and put themselves in position to at least have a chance.
Yeah, both those drivers going to be in line for a top 5, maybe even a race win.
And check this move out. We've got race leader Matt Craftsman with a big push and a deal with the Ford truck of Eric Jones for those trucks to hang together. It got Craftsman the lead, but then, unfortunately, Craftsman picked up some debris onto his grill, causing his truck to overheat.
He ran out of fuel just before making a scheduled green flag pit stop. That really hurt their opportunities, and after the green flag pit stops had cycled out, it was Brian Keselowski who put that 29 truck on point. What we thought could be the final restart of the afternoon, everybody getting aggressive and perhaps going over the line, penalized by NASCAR. Christopher Bell in that black and orange 54 in the outside lane.
Yeah, they got connected right here, and really he didn't let off of him until they came back around about a lap and a half later.
And that took the lead away from Brian Keselowski. Keselowski's team saying, why don't both trucks get penalized? They were locked together.
Took us over 90 laps, but we finally got the big one. You see it so often at Talladega. Biggest victim here, that bright yellow 88 outside lane. Matt Craftsman trying to sneak through, couldn't do so. He's on pit road with heavy damage. This brought out our 5th caution of the afternoon, and since NASCAR has decided to put us under the red flag, we're going to go to overtime. One attempt this weekend at a green flag finish. Brandon Jones leads this race, trying to win for the first time in his career, and you see the other numbers from today's event here at Talladega.
You know, sometimes words just don't tell the story. Everything that happens at Talladega is so intense. Let's see if we can go down inside of one of the trucks, inside our top 5. Timothy Peters. Hey, Timothy Peters, it's Michael Waltrip up in the Fox booth. You got a copy? Can I say hello to you, bud?
Hey, Mikey.
Well, you're going to be setting 3rd. That's about as good as it gets for a little scramble here to the checkered at Talladega. How do you feel about making it 2 in a row here?
Well, first, I feel like that we got a really good shot. All the guys at Red Horse Racing and Marcus Richmond have put together a great tundra for me here, and it's all about being in position. You've dominated these plate races before, and Chris Lambert's given me great information throughout the whole race, so it's going to be a little interesting here to see what they do with the 54. But hey, I'm looking forward to trying to defend our title.
Well, we invited Kevin Harvick up here to help us along with the broadcast. He said before y'all started your engine, it was all going to be about positioning. They put the 54 to pit road for a penalty. That gives you the position 2nd on the inside. Do you think you can win from there?
Well, definitely going to do a lot of side drafting for sure to try to make sure that we can get out front. That's all going to be about, what kind of shove you get from behind. So we just have to wait and see. It's kind of like the Kenny Rogers commercial. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Yeah, but he just sings too long in that, and it aggravated the other players. Have fun, buddy. I'm pulling for you. I know Ashley Richmond on the side of your truck means the world to you. I appreciate all you do for our sport.
Thanks, Mikey.
Still anybody's guess who's going to win this thing. Certainly one of the candidates is Timothy Peters. And what about Eric Jones? Going to restart right around the 6th position, Vince.
Well, and it's a delicate balance right now with this team because they know the struggles that Matt Crafton is having right now. The standings show Eric Jones with a 17-point lead. And remember, there are only 4 races remaining after this one. So even though Eric Jones sits 6th, they want to try to balance the aggression here to the finish.
We just got to take care of ourselves in this hornet's nest and make sure we finish this now off here. Maximize our day. Wherever it puts us, it puts us. Some of them other guys are having trouble, so got to do our deal.
Maximize our day. I think that's the key statement for Eric Jones.
The 29's committed to us here. Okay, so I mean, as long as we stay on the bottom, he said he's going to push. They're not going to get a penalty, but yeah, 10-4. We're not going to start on top here. It'd be stupid. I'd rather lose it with choosing it right than lose it choosing it wrong.
Talking about lane selection on the restart for the race leader. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, I think when you look at Brandon Jones and you look at Spencer Gallagher, who will start 4th, obviously those guys are on the same team, and then you're going to have Brian Keselowski and Timothy Peters if they started that direction. So I don't know. I mean, that's a definite discussion as to what's right and what's wrong, because you know your teammate's going to have your back no matter what. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but it sounds like they're going to start on the bottom anyway.
How about this top 3 trucks, or the guys that battled their way to the front? Brandon Jones, just a raw rookie at Talladega, and he's able to put his truck out in position to win this baby late. Brian Keselowski right there, his first truck start ever. And then you got last year's winner and the veteran, Timothy Peters, that's going to be hard on it, as you heard him just say, trying to get the victory.
It's definitely been a mix. It's been a mix of a balance of guys that are experienced, which you saw Crafton just wreck. You see Timothy Peters up there, so you kind of got a few of those guys spread out. But a lot of these guys, they just don't know any better. And you get up there and you hadn't made a mistake, and you just keep the pedal down. And you've seen Brandon Jones's truck. It's been all over the place, and you're thinking that he's going to wreck, but he doesn't know because he hasn't wrecked. He just assumes that's right because they're going fast. So it's definitely interesting to watch, and to see the aggression out of the young guys is fun.
Michael, you and I talked during practice yesterday about the new rule from NASCAR, only one attempt at a green flag finish, and the difference that could make in the level of aggression, knowing once you go to overtime, absolutely this is it. How much of a game changer is the mentality here?
I think the gloves were off after that last restart. We saw Johnny Sauter try to squeeze into a hole. The hole closed on him. That caused a crash. That's exactly what you're going to see on this restart, is people just putting their foot on the mat and shoving their way, hopefully, to a victory at Talladega.
And if you're in the front, you can't wait. You have to go, because the caution can come out at any point. So when that green flag flies on this restart, you want to get the best restart and try to position yourself at the front of the pack, because if the caution comes out, it's over.
I remember fall 2010. You and your then teammate, I believe, Clint Boyer, were racing for the lead. The race finished under caution, and I remember the two of you sitting down here in turn 1 and 2 beside one another, if I remember right, waiting on the ruling from NASCAR to determine who was leading when the yellow came out.
Yeah, as a driver, you don't know where that yellow flag comes out, and they have great video around the whole racetrack to go back and see exactly when that caution light flipped on and when they flipped the switch, and time that up with the video. So, yeah, Clint and I, we didn't really know what was going on. Normally, we don't know what's going on anyway.
Yeah,
we're just hanging on.
If you don't know what's going on, you're in good company with Boyer.
That's right.
That makes 2 of you every time.
It's been a fun afternoon here at Talladega Superspeedway, and we're glad you've decided to join us.
And, you know, I love what Kevin said when we started, to talk to Timothy Peters about it. He said it's about positioning, and you see how important that's become in this race. We also talked about this is the land of opportunity. We've got Brandon Jones up there trying to win at Talladega. There's just so many great stories that develop at Talladega, and it's so fun to follow them.
I want to go back to last year, and we talked about the penalty for Christopher Bell and the fact that Brandon Jones was not punished. This is last year. Joe Nemechek pushing Matt Crafton, both drivers black flagged by NASCAR.
Yeah, and I remember Matt Crafton saying, well, I can't help it. What I have to do with it? I was just wide open, and they said we penalized both drivers because you were both receiving the advantage. Hearing on the scanner maybe that there had been multiple warnings to the 54 truck, therefore that's why he was penalized, and they decided not to penalize the 33.
I don't think they get that truck fixed, Mike. I think with the spoiler being knocked off the back of it, they could probably fix the rest of it. Obviously, they have been well prepared here with the piece to go on it, but this is one thing that NASCAR will make sure is done right, because that spoiler has to be on there with the tail.
Yeah, and with the one attempt at a green-white checker, to me that falls off, that messes up your attempt at it, and NASCAR will watch closely how these guys repair the 88 truck.
The red flag just under 15 minutes. And now that it's been lifted, the 88 guy is able to start working on that Toyota once again. And the field is rolled out of turn 1 and behind the pace truck, making their way through turns 3 and 4. Once we get everything saddled up, NASCAR will turn the lights out on the pace truck, and we'll hopefully get a 2-lap shootout to the finish. But should we get a caution any time after the green flag goes in the air, that would make this race official.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't know that you could even go back onto the racetrack without a spoiler, but they did release him and let him go back onto the track, you know, to not get a lap down. So that's an interesting call right there.
Yeah, and also that's going to gain him some points. He's going to get ahead of some of the other trucks that were crashed when Craftsman went down. So he could gain about 4 spots, I think, in these last couple of laps.
Well, and as we talked about earlier, those 4 points could be huge with only 4 races remaining. And right now, our points showing that Eric Jones is 15 in front of Craftsman.
They'll get that truck back to pit road. He won't be able to go anymore. Yeah, that's a mess. But you know, we're also, you talk about as we run, Adam, the Ford truck of Jones 15 ahead, he's still got to survive this green-white checker, and there's no guarantee he'll do that.
How hard is it if you're a driver like Eric Jones and in the position he's in with an opportunity to win a championship, but knowing you're right there at the front?
There's nowhere to hide. He doesn't have any choice. All he can do is go through the gears and leave it on the mat and hope for the best, right?
And that's really what you do. I mean, you just leave it on the floor and you push the guy in front of you as hard as you can. You try to hold the wheel straight, and you just never let off the throttle, because at this particular point, you just push your way through whatever is in front of you to try to survive. And unfortunately, and fortunately for him, he is in P6, so he is right in the middle of the hornet's nest.
This is good stuff.
Today on the high banks at Talladega, 2.66 miles. Next week, short track racing on the flat half mile in Southern Virginia, the Paperclip, Martinsville Speedway. We'll see you on FS1 Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're streaming it live at Fox Sports Go.
You know, Kevin, football players, their field's 100 yards every week. You get pretty much used to that. How do you go from 200 miles an hour on high banks, and they're just going to pin you in to a little bull ring and have some high-speed car wrestling at Martinsville? How do you handle all that?
Yeah, we talk about tearing them up here with things that are out of your control. Usually you tear them up yourself when you're at Martinsville, but you can still get in somebody else's mess. It's definitely a different animal. You go from this huge wide space of bump drafting and never lifting and restrictor plates to a half-mile paperclip where you let off on both ends and all the horsepower coming up out of the corners, wearing the tires out. All the problems that you don't have here can still result in the same big mess.
High-speed car wrestling. Is that what you called it?
That's what it reminds me of, because these guys are not afraid to lay the bumper to each other at Martinsville. Here you lay the bumper to someone to help them. When you go to Martinsville, you lay it to them to hurt them.
Yeah, exactly.
So where our championship front runners are as we anticipate the restart here. Eric Jones, best of the bunch. He's 6th. Tyler Reddick, 11th. And Matt Craftsman was 19th. Has dropped back to 22nd.
I gotta feel like this might be a green checkered, not a green-white checkered, because there's going to be so much aggression, like you talked about. You know, what does Eric Jones do? He can't hide anywhere. He's just going to go wide open and hope he makes it back.
If you're just joining us on Fox on this Saturday afternoon, we're in overtime. Camping World Truck Series going to a green-white checker finish. Matt Craftsman came in 2nd in the championship chase, but he has had a ton of problems in the second half of this event. And now we see the 29 drifting back on the restart. What's the story with Brian Keselowski, Matt?
Came on the radio moments ago, said he thinks the Ford is out of fuel. He's down to the inside. Unbelievable. This could have been the biggest day of his racing career.
I think it has been the biggest day of his racing career. What a job that man has done behind the wheel of that 29 truck. What a shame this is.
Last pitted at lap 73. Surprising. They would be out of fuel here.
Wow, they got the spoiler back on the back of that truck.
That's an unbelievable effort and could be a championship winning move by that race team.
Well, he's going to get one more lap. There's going to be a lot of smoke from that right front. I don't think that tire's going to blow out.
That's a championship prepared team right there. To have those parts and pieces just to get that on there is pretty amazing.
So Brandon Jones said he's going to choose the inside lane here for the restart. He's the race leader. Timothy Peters is second, will restart outside, and because of the hiccup for Brian Keselowski, Eric Jones is now going to slide up and restart right behind Brandon Jones. Spencer Gallagher will restart fourth right behind Peters here. 1 lap to go. The lights are out on the pace truck.
I don't think Timothy Peters is too happy that Brian Keselowski ran out of gas either. That got him off the bottom. But you know, if he gets the right push, if he gets the right start with the right push, he could win this race still.
I'm looking at my watch. We've gone past 3:30 on the East Coast, and the two of you doing double duty today, working with us here in the Fox booth. Then you've got to go qualify for tomorrow's 500-miler here at Talladega in the Sprint Cup Series. So use your words wisely as we wrap things up, because you got to go quick, all right, fellas?
I'll be able to get in my car and relax, you know it?
It'll definitely be nice to be back in control of something, because right here we're just wondering what's going to happen, and the yeah, there is definitely nobody in control up here. I thought you were in control.
I lost it a long time ago. When Michael's here, I'm never under control.
Oh, this really gets my nerves. I don't know what these guys are going to do. I just know it's going to be fun to watch.
Couple of guys, 3 guys in line for their first career victory. Brandon Jones has the lead. He's never won. Spencer Gallagher, top 5 run here last year in that 23. He doesn't have a win. Cameron Haley restarting inside lane, 3rd position. He hasn't won here. We should remind you, a Rookie of the Year contender has not recorded a victory at Talladega Superspeedway in the 9 previous races, but we got a few of them that have a chance to get it done here. In the 9 races at Talladega, more than half the time, the last lap pass produces the victor. 5 of the last 7 races here have been decided on the final lap. Pace truck is off. Green-white checker, 1 attempt. If the caution comes out, the race is over and official. Front row, Brandon Jones, Timothy Peters. Here we go for a little overtime at Talladega.
That was a great jump by Jones, but was it too good? When you get out in front like that, you don't have anybody to draft with. Peters has got a pusher. Here he comes.
Spencer Gallagher giving a huge push to Timothy Peters in that outside lane. Here comes the pole setter, last year's winner, Peters out front at Talladega.
Yeah, and that outside lane just got formed so much better, so much quicker than the inside, and now Peters goes on defense.
Oh, problems. Gallagher out of shape. Into John West Townley. Peters stays out front. No caution yet.
Those trucks are well out of harm's way. NASCAR's decided to let these boys
caution is out, and that will do it. Timothy Peters going to go back-to-back at Talladega.
This will be the only attempt. 10-4, but we may have to run another lap. This should be the white.
That's good spotting right there. Don't pull the pit road too soon there, Timothy.
And he also said what you talked about, Kevin. As soon as they wrecked, he said stay in it. You don't want to give one away thinking the caution is out.
Well, you just knew that those guys had to go, because you just had to think that that was going to happen with all the pushing and shoving and everything happening on the restarts like it did. You had to think that the caution was going to come out. So as long as he can make it back around, he's going to win the race.
And Spencer Gallagher went for it. He had a chance to win this race. He turned a little aggressively. Watch, he tries to dive to the bottom, and Townley's in the back of him. And when he tries to make that turn right there, the truck just wouldn't hold it.
Well, a tough break for John West Townley, who had such an up and down day and was in position for another top 5 on board with the race leader.
23. I think right there, Gallagher saw Peters crowding up. He decided he was going to block him.
Riding with John West Townley.
Push, bump, Brad, push, just bump. Get off and bump. Got a bump. Let off, let off, let off, let off. Bump. There you go. There you go. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. All right, I see what you got. Keep.
I don't think that was anything John West did wrong.
No, I think when Peters went up to throw the block right there, it just kind of made Spencer have to decide, okay, am I going to push him or am I going to try to pass him and win this race? And he was going for the pass to try to win, and that's what we like to see.
Our results right now on our scoring monitor, very unofficial. Timothy Peters gets the win. Brandon Jones, Mason Mingus getting or matching their best career finish.
Is that Mingus slipping through on the outside? He might have been into the back of John West Townley. We talked about it. You throw the green, you put it on the floorboard and hang on.
Kevin, I think it's time for you to go try and qualify.
Hey guys,
your car.
Thank you for having me today. I had a blast.
Enjoyed it, man. Good luck to you tomorrow trying to advance, all right?
Don't I need to go qualify too, Al?
You need to go? You take your time, whatever you need. To make it official, here comes Timothy Peters.
I just want to see this man win this race.
He saw the white and the yellow. Now he's going to see the checker, Michael.
Yeah, he's got his crew chief sister, her name on the side of that truck. Last year, Timothy Peters drove to victory lane with our man Steve Burns on the side of his truck. And today, he's honoring Marcus Richmond's sister as she has her battle.
And we have gotten confirmation from NASCAR. Top 5 today. Timothy Peters with a victory. Brandon Jones matching his career best in 2nd. Mason Mingus getting his career best in 3rd. Eric Jones does an outstanding job coming home in 4th. And what about the rally back for Tyler Reddick? Michael, we didn't talk about him hardly all day long. He ends up 5th and keeps himself alive for this championship.
That young man will fight you till the end, won't he? He's had some troubles, a lot of adversity that he's been able to overcome all year long. Today's another great example of that. Just 18 points back as they run right now on the track from Eric Jones trying to win a championship.
A wild day at Talladega, as they often are. But when the smoke cleared, it was the guy that started out front that ended there. 9th career victory for Timothy Peters. 1 year ago, Timothy Peters won here at Talladega. It was his first win of 2014. Winning today, his first victory of this season. It's the 6th straight year he's recorded at least one win. We'll hear from him in a moment. Now let's go down to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Tyler Reddick in the 19. You guys had a fast truck, fought track position pretty much all day. Then it came down to those final restarts, and you in a hornet's nest. Talk about driving your way through those finishes, getting a top 5 and moving up to 2nd in the championship standings.
Yeah, really proud of my guys. You know, we weren't in the greatest spots all race long. We caught some bad breaks our ways. But our guys on pit road made no mistakes. We didn't really make any big mistakes on the racetrack, just got put in the wrong spot. Really proud of my Stony Creek record F-150 guys for getting us home in a 4th place finish there. I thought we did one heck of a job.
That's Tyler Reddick. Matt Yoakum.
Unofficially in the championship standings now, Matt Craftsman drops from 2nd to 3rd, 23 markers out. This was the event that you were most concerned about, and the impact is huge. Can you put into words all you experienced today?
Oh, I mean, these guys brought a great Menards Toyota Tundra. I mean, we led a lot of laps today, and like I said, that just says a lot for what these guys have done at the racetrack and just what they've built and bringing to the racetrack. I mean, I qualified, I think, 7th, and we ran and led a lot of laps. So, I mean, a lot of fun racing. Hope they loved it.
Do you have enough time to get back and mount a charge?
Like I said, they have to have problems. I had my problems, so if they have their problems, like I said, I'm not worried about it. We're going to go to try to win the next 4 and see what happens.
All right, thanks, Matty.
And now our Ram Guts and Glory for today's race here at Talladega.
Just take your pick. There was so much action and so many things to choose from, but this was the defining moment for Matt Craftsman for sure. Spencer Gallagher trying to take the lead with a push from John West Townley. They crash.
Timothy Peters going on to get his 2nd win at Talladega Superspeedway, and he's made it to victory lane, Vince Welsh.
Back-to-back at Talladega for Timothy Peters. What an emotional victory as he gives a big hug to his crew chief, Marcus Richmond. It's Marcus's sister, Ashley, whose name is above the door. Ashley battling cancer, and this team dedicated this weekend to her and the Richmond family. Tim, what's it mean with Ashley's name over that door to put it in victory lane today?
This was for her. I know you're watching. Ashley Richmond, we love you to death, and thank you for riding with us today and being who you are. This is just an awesome feeling. Thanks to all these guys. Red Horse Racing back at the shop, Triad, Horsepower, Toyota Tundra was awesome today. Oh my goodness, just Tom DeLuge for believing in us and in this team. We got on a roll starting at Chicago, and man, it's just been up from here.
What was going through your mind on that last restart?
Just trying to get out front, you know, and make sure that we stay there. And you don't ever want to wish no bad luck, but it wouldn't hurt your feelings either to see that caution. So I'm glad everybody's okay. I hope they're okay for sure. But just thank everybody that's involved with us. Liquid Performance, Russo's Tinting, Goodridge, Honda Generators, just Autos by Nelson. Everybody that plays a big part in this right here is just a very awesome feeling.
An emotional day for Timothy Peters and company, finishing it at Victory Lane at Talladega. Hermie?
Well, Eric, you come out of Talladega with a top 5 finish. As always, it came down to a couple of final restarts. What position were you in, and what did you need to have happen differently to have a shot to go to Victory Lane?
Man, that's a tough call. I thought like I was in the best position. The 29 ran out of fuel or something happened, and we moved up into third, and I was like, okay, we're in a good spot. Unfortunately, I just didn't, get the best restart behind the 33. Went quicker than I thought he was, and really didn't get our line rolling. And I thought it was going to take really a whole nother lap, unfortunately, to get rolling. But a good day for our Tundra. Thanks to everybody back at the shop, KBM Chassis, Joe Gibbs Racing Engines, JBL, they're new on board with KBM, and happy birthday to my girlfriend Haley. But just happy that we could come out here with such a solid day and extend our points lead and go on to the next one.
It's a top 5 finish, and he remains atop of the championship standings.
Another impressive run by 18-year-old Brandon Jones, finishing second. You've had a chance to think about it. Could you have played it any different?
Gosh, there's not too much you can do really in that position. We were right there to take the lead away, and if we could have, that would have been perfect for us. But I just got to thank everyone at GMS Racing and Widge and Supply for coming on for this race, and glad that we could run up front, lead a couple laps for those guys, and had a shot at it at the end.
What a way to close out the season. Another strong run. He'll be Xfinity full-time in 2016.
Thank you, Matt. We look at the championship chase with only 4 races to go. Great day for Eric Jones.
It certainly was. He's extended his point lead, 18 points, 4 races to go. You only have to gain 5 points a race on that young man to make it a real battle when we head to Miami. Tyler Reddick and Matt Craftsman are both capable of doing just that. We still got a great battle.
Matt Craftsman 4 points out coming in, lost 19 points today. Going to be an uphill climb for him, and as he said in his post-race interview, we're going to need Jones to have a mistake or two if we're going to get back into this thing. But I'd say next week a little bit of a wild card again on the short track in Virginia.
Didn't I say high-speed NASCAR truck wrestling? That's what you get when you go to Martinsville. You can cut a tire and finish outside the top 20 there. Easy.
No official results yet from NASCAR, so we're not going to put those on today. We await the official results from them, and that's what happens when you come to Talladega Superspeedway, get a caution on the final lap. A lot to sort through for timing and scoring. So good to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon at Talladega, Alabama on Fox. Next weekend, we go to the Paperclip in Martinsville, Virginia. We're on FS1 Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to seeing you then. With Michael Waltrip and Kevin Harvick, I'm Adam Alexander saying so long from Central Alabama, and congratulations to Timothy Peters going back-to-back at Talladega Superspeedway.